Captain Jeremy Barber, In-U-Endo Charters, Grand Haven. We're going to talk today a little bit about two things. One, how we rig our meat rigs, but also how we store and maintain our meat rigs so that they're not getting beat up in the storage solution. So all of our meat rigs are wrapped in pipe insulation, and we wrap our leaders around the pipe insulation and stick the hooks back into them. You can see that our teasers are all on one side. Typically we'll have the head on the opposite side. This one came out of the box wrapped this way, but you can see that everything lays nice and flat. They go in the box, and they're not tangled together. They're real easy to pull out of the box when it's time to use them. So I'm a huge fan of the pipe insulation for keeping things nice and organized. And you can see also that the fluorocarbon doesn't kink up on the rig, at least not as bad as it does if there's no pipe insulation. Now mind you, these have been on the rig since last year. So I'm just going to unwind this off the flasher here, and then demonstrate how we rig our bait. So the first thing is, depending on what type of bait you're using, you got to make sure that it's gonna lay in the head right. This is some big one glow alewife bait. This has got the glow actually on the bottom of the bait, on the underside of the bait. So this glows up pretty nicely. I'm just gonna open the package here and bait one up real quick. So we actually do keep our big one stored cold. This one actually I pulled out of the freezer today. And you can see that the bait has held up in the freezer really nicely. I can probably show the camera, I don't know which one, but this bait looks good. This is from last year, it was leftover, and it actually smells like it should. It doesn't smell rotten, it smells really good here. You can see, actually I'm going to get the other side of the bait. So this bait is kind of an A and a B side, depending on which side you grab. Sometimes the bait is a little bit wider than the bait head, so it needs a little bit of trimming right out of the package. And this would be an example of one that I would trim with a pair of scissors before I put it in the meat head. So I'm going to go ahead and just trim this up, trying to maintain a pretty similar shape. So I just take it, even on the boat, we just carry a pair of scissors and we just take it and just trim it with scissors so it's not quite as wide, and bring it back to a tail. Just takes the volume of the strip down a little bit. See here, so the strip size is a little bit smaller now. I've just trimmed it up just slightly so it's going to sit in that head a little bit better. It's still a little bit wide, so I'm going to take it even just a touch narrower. And it's going to slide right in the head. This one's got a pin in it, which I'm going to push out. I typically don't use the pins. I'll typically use a toothpick. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is just insert the bait in the head and get it in there so it's sitting in there nice. Then I'll take the toothpick and go ahead and insert it in the hole here. So I push it through and then I break it off flush. I don't like the toothpick to be sticking out of the bait. I like it nice and flush there. So now that bait's sitting in the head very nicely. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten the hook up so that the tail of the bait is riding right in the gap of the hook, just above the round bend portion of the treble. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up just by pulling on it a little bit. And so now we see the tail of the bait is sitting right on the bend of the hook, and that's how I like to run it. I like that bait sitting, the tip of the bait sitting right at the bend of the hook. I don't like the hook too far back, and I certainly don't like it up in the middle of the bait, as that bait's going to spin. But I found that this is how the bait's going to roll the best possible way. So the last thing I'm going to do is show you how we actually store the meat rigs. Again, this is a 10-inch fish-shaped flasher. This is a piece of pipe insulation. So we just wrap it around the tail of the flasher like this, and then we just take that meat rig leader and wind it around that pipe insulation. And so I'll show you here how I'm going to lay all the teaser flies together. Of course, it's tangled. So I run that teaser fly right down so they're all going to sit right next to each other. And we'll just continue to wrap. And the last one, so all 3 teaser flies are sitting right there. We'll keep wrapping until the head lays. And then I'm going to move the head so it lies flat on this side. Take the hook back around and stick it back in the pipe insulation. So it sits very nicely. 3 teaser flies on one side with the head sitting on the other side. You can see the bend in the head is maintained. I'm not flattening things out based on it being on that pipe insulation. And then I just stick the hook back in there. Everything's nice and tight. Goes back in the storage box just like that.